Vincent de Paul developed a totally new vision also on the care for the sick people. And several elements we can find who are very important also for us today who are taking care for sick people. And the first element was the basic attitude that he asked that everyone should have when we go to the sick people. And that basic attitude was the attitude of love that will translate itself in compassion and then develop in clear service. And in some text, he gave very clear guidelines about it. And I have here a text that I like to read because it gives really a summary of his vision about that basic attitude and the consequences that this attitude should have towards concrete care. Sisters, he said, make sure that you treat the sick gently and heartily. Love has always to express itself in to be gentle and to be heartily. Suffer with them. And here he speaks about compassion. We have to enter really in the suffering of the other and listen to their smallest complaints, like a mother would do. He takes here an example as a mother who is caring for her children, who has attention for the small demands of the children. For the poor take you for their mother, sent by God to come to their aid. You are called to make God's goodness felt, and because God approaches the sufferers with love and meekness, you should treat the poor sick with the kindness that God has taught us, with compassion and love. For they are your masters and mine. You see several elements that he developed in a general way. He is now making it very concrete in the care for the sick. Indeed, in the kingdom of God, they are prominent masters. Opening the door of heaven is accrued to them, as the gospel says it. That is why you should serve them with respect, with piety as well, for they represent Jesus Christ, who says, what you have done to the least of my brothers and sisters, you have done to me. In fact, you are serving the Lord who dwells in the sick. So elements always coming back, and he makes it very concrete. We have to see, meet, and love Jesus in the person of the sick we are serving. Therefore, avoid all impatience, but make an effort to be very kind and friendly and near to them, even to the most troublesome and the most difficult ones. Do not forget to say an encouraging word, a word that refers to God. And here we see again, in his material care is always also present the care for the spiritual life, a word that refers to God. Not too much at once, very nice, but gradually. We have not to overwhelm them too much. When they are sick, they need care, but in the care, don't spare also to say something about the good God who is caring for them. Try to bring them nearer to God step by step. Very nice. To bring the sick people nearer to God step by step. Say a word straight from the heart, a word of Jesus. And consoling word that you draw from the Lord's heart, a word in accordance with the need that you sense. Believe me, sisters, assisting the poor in their physical needs is important. But when the Lord brought the company into being, he did not want you to care for the body only. You see here always the combination, care for the sick on the physical level, but at the same time also care for their spiritual life. Step by step, very nice said, bring them nearer to God step by step. So that is the first element. And we can say today we should speak about holistic care. Holistic care where all the elements of man are touched. Physical, social, psychological, existential, spiritual. That is what we receive here as message of Vincent de Paul. Secondly, and in line with it, and another text will again be given, is his attention for details. He said, when you love someone, when you serve him with love, you always should have attention for details. And he gave it in the rules for the ladies of charity. You know, the ladies of charity, he started with them. They were not religious, but people from the world, even rich people. But also they were invited to take care for the poor and the sick. And he made some clear rules for them. And then, I read here, the one who is on duty will prepare lunch and bring it to the sick person. First of all, and here again, details. Attention for details. Also see the person of the sick as a real person, with whom you have to develop real contact, attention. They are not becoming object, like we see today in many times in care, in hospitals, that the person of the sick is not more a subject, but is becoming an object. Here, Vincent de Paul is very clear. First of all, she will greet him kindly, place a tray on the bed, and put a napkin on the tray, as well as a mug, a spoon, and some bread. Details. She will assist the person in washing his hands and say a prayer with him before the meal. Attention for the spiritual element again. Then she will pour soup in the bowl, put the meat on the plate, and place all this on the tray. Details. She will kindly invite the sick person to start eating in the name of the father and of the mother. All this has to be done with love, as if it were her own son. Very nice, as a mother who is taking care for the children. It is God who says that what you do to the poor, you do it to him. If someone is standing to the sick person, go to another sick person. And then, very nice. Lastly, she will go to those who are lonely, so that she can stay longer with them. Attention for the personal situation, attention for details, but also for the personal situation, the one who is lonely, take them last, then we can stay longer with him or her. So that is the second element, the attention for details. The third element that is always coming back, also in the care of the sick, is the combination between affective love and affective love, through a very personal contact with the sick person. You have to show your affection, your emotion, through your affective help, affective service. And here the two words, affective, he found it, he found inspiration for it by Francis of Sales, who is developing that very clearly, always to say your affective love must always grow towards affective love, and in your affective love has to be present, has to be felt. That's a very nice vision. You help someone, and in the way you're helping, through your hands, the person has to feel the affection you has for him or her. Another element that is very important, I think, when we speak about taking care for the sick people, is the attention for the poorest, for those who are abandoned. At the time, there were many people abandoned, and Vincent de Paul had a special attention for those who are abandoned. We think about the abandoned children. So many abandoned children, foundlings who were on the street, led by their mother because they could not take care for them. So he took care for them. He gave it to other people to take care for them. A special attention for the abandoned ones, for the poor ones, for the psychiatric patients even. When he is working in the Saint-Lazare in Paris, there is a special ward for psychiatric patients. And in the film, it is very nice, in the film Mr. Vincent, he is going to that ward together with Louise de Marillac. Eloise de Marillac is afraid. I said, oh, I'm afraid. And Vincent said, don't be afraid. They are human beings like us. So really, he is encouraging her, and he said, "Do take care for him." And she is really afraid, but because he is stimulating her, she is doing it. And after she said, it was like for me a revelation. I received really the courage, the force, indeed, to take care for this very poor man. Another element that we like to add here is his attention for professionalism. Also, that is, I think, something totally new. In the formation program that he developed for the Daughters of Charity, and he calls it their seminary, we should say today their novitiate, there is a part foreseen for professional, how they have to care for the sick people in a professional way. We can say it was the first school for nursing. And he made the whole program, and so when they finished their formation, they received a spiritual formation, but they were also ready to go to the sick and to take care of them in a professional way. And we can say that Florence Nightingale, who is a very important person in the field of nursing, she is an English woman and she became very famous in the War of the Crimea. And she went to the Daughters of Charity in Paris to know more about the program that was developed by Vincent de Paul. And that we can say she is the one, is always seen as the one who made the first handbooks for nursing. Notes on Nursing is a very important book. We know that many inspiration in that book came from the Daughters of Charity with their program that was developed by Vincent de Paul. So Vincent de Paul can be seen here as the first one who developed professional care for the sick people. He was the first one who developed, really, we can say, a school of nursing. And as last point, really, it is like a summary, always that holistic care that we see very always coming back in the words of Vincent de Paul in his action. But he said, you can only do that if you take care also for yourself. And also that is an important element. We call it today self-care. You can only take care for the others if you first of all take care also for yourself. And therefore he said you can only take care for the spiritual life of the others if first of all you take care for your own spiritual life. And so that was also something that was always present with Vincent de Paul. Take care for yourself. See that you have a good spiritual life, and then you will be able to take care also for the spiritual life of others. So we see here, I can say, a real picture of the way that Vincent de Paul was developing the care for the sick in a holistic way, uh, out of love, that basic attitude, who is very basic, we can say, and that always translated in concrete actions, affective towards affective, and really in a holistic way, taking care for the whole person. And I think for today in the healthcare, it's a very important element. And we have to say it in all honesty, that today in many hospitals that is lacking, that holistic care, because then the patients are becoming object and are not subject anymore. And therefore it is good that the model of Vincent de Paul may also inspire us today, and especially those who are working for the sick people.